talk about the Trecena of anil then. So anil it's kind of like a compound word in a way, consisting of two syllables, an and il. And an means yellow, and il means having the qualities of, which we could also kind of translate as ing. So it's yellowing. That's really kind of like what it comes down to. And according to the Popol Vuh, they would say that we are the people of the maize, that this is the corn, like the corn people, that this fourth age of the sun is the age of the corn people. Okay, and just like the corn, we are planted in the darkness in the womb in the mother. We emerge, we sprout, we grow tall, we flower, we fruit, then we start to wither, we return to the ground, and then we're reborn again. And that anil is all about the yellow maize. It's all about, kind of like when you look at the maize that's growing in a field, the corn that's growing in a field, and you see that corn cob when it's just absolutely perfect and it's that bright, brilliant yellow colour. When we're at our absolute ripeness, that's when we're at our perfection. Excuse me. And so when we see that, we understand that this is kind of like, this is joyful, right? This is the yellow that brings you joy, because there you are, you've been toiling in your field for however long it might be in your particular location. Whether it's 105 days or 260 days or something like that. You've been growing your corn, you've been hoeing it, you've been watering it, you've been bringing things to put on it to make it grow better, you've been spending all that time, and then finally you can take the corn to the market and get paid for it. You can kind of like, bring it to your table, you can feed it, you can, all of those things. Your work is done, you've come to ripeness. And the ripening part of it, that's really what I feel that anil is all about. It's about bringing things to their ripeness. Anil is also highly connected with the plant kingdom. Anil days are brilliant days to get out in your garden, to be planting seeds. Now, for most people in the Northern Hemisphere, I'd imagine that right now is not exactly the right time to plant seeds. Maybe you can start some stuff in your greenhouse or like under glass or something like that. And like here in Guatemala, actually, like I'm putting some seeds in now so that they can, kind of go on for March, April time. Also, tomatoes are really good to plant right now for here. So we can see this. In Guatemala, because it's dry season and they don't like getting rained on. And so if you have the opportunity to work in your garden or to work with plants on a anil day, it's generally thought of as being a good thing. Now, like from a different system, if we saw that it was an anil day and that the moon was in Virgo, that would be a day when you cancel all other plans to work in the garden, because that is just kind of like everything that you do in the garden is empowered. Okay? So imagine that, because you think about it, it's like, well, all right, yeah, okay, I get it. But like, sometimes you plant stuff and it doesn't come up, or like you think, hang on, I bought the best compost, I bought the right seeds, they're all in date and that kind of thing, but they just don't really do anything. Well, anil is sort of like adding the boost of that bit of energy to it to make it work in the right way. And so this is one way that we can see it, but what are the other seeds that we plant? The other seeds that we plant, they might be seeds of ideas, they might be projects or plans, those kind of things as well. And I think that the anil is also, it's about planting new seeds in that way. As I said, we see it kind of like 13 days to like take it into the ripeness, but it's also starting a 263-day cycle. And so kind of like that will take us up to somewhere around about, I guess, somewhere about mid-October of this year. Okay, so what are you doing now that you want to bring to ripeness in around about 9 months' time, that kind of thing, yeah? Kind of like, how do you, kind of, have you got some projects, some plans, some ideas about what you want to grow? Because, honestly, like I say, I know that in many ways doing it about the garden is a really good thing. But honestly, if we can also look at it from the point of view of projects and plans, it extends it out for us because we don't all have gardens. Working with herbs on Anil Day is also something which can be very, very potent. So, maybe kind of like to work with herbal medicines on that day can also be very, very useful. So, planting a new seed could be something which is a very, very, very beneficial thing to do on this day of 1 Anil at the beginning of this Trecena. So what seeds are you planting?
That's today?
That's tomorrow.
That's tomorrow.
Yeah. Today is 13 Kiach. Tomorrow is 1 Anil. And so, as I say, if you get the opportunity to go out in your garden or plant some pots in your greenhouse or something like that, that's the absolute premium day to do it. Okay, to plant a new seed in whatever way, shape or form you might see it. Because it's really about the beginning of something. And, when you're planting seeds, they need a little bit of compost, they need a little bit of light, a little bit of water, they need a little bit of help. So it's the beginning, that's the one, you see, that's like the beginning of things, the birth of something new, the birth of a new crop.
I'm really blown away after learning the 9 months of the birth cycle being equal to this also Mayan cycle too, like literally human life.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so that's kind of like what we can see. So Anil, get out in your garden, plant something, begin a new project that you want to bring to its full fruition, that you want to bring to abundance, because also that yellowness is joyful abundance, right? It's about really kind of like receiving the energy for what you put in, multiply. We plant 1 kernel of maize, we get 6,000 kernels back, yeah? It multiplies just by growing. So this is like multiplying your abundance, yeah? So...
Question. I'm sorry to interrupt. I may be way off base, but can you also look at tomorrow as planting seeds in your own self?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is what I was saying. It's kind of like the seed of whatever you want to bring to its abundant fruition in 263 days' time, or 273 days' time. Certainly that's a great thing to be doing tomorrow. Okay? And so from that, we then go into Tu Toch. Okay? So I always like to see it, and this is certainly something I see like when we're making ceremony. In Anil, we're receiving abundance, yeah? There's one way that we can look at it. We're receiving our harvest. In Toch, we're giving back. In Toch, we're making our payment. And we're making our payment because this is what we should be doing. This is like we always, every time we receive, we're grateful. We show our gratitude. And that always seems very aligned that Anil is followed by Toch. We receive, we give something back. Okay? And Toch is a day which will keep you healthy when you remember to give back, and will also send you a little reminder if you've forgotten something. If there is a debt that is remaining, then it will send you a little reminder that it's time to pay it. The number 2, it can be about self-sacrifice. So Tu Toch is like one of the most selfless days of giving you could ever look for. So if there is a charity, an NGO, somebody like Odim who look after people in San Pablo and San Juan, for example, it'd be a great day to make a donation to them if you choose to. A great day to go and make acts of selfless service. So if there's some community venture that you want to do, then that would be a great day to go and do it, because it kind of like, it brings benefit to you, but it also brings more benefit to what you're doing as well, yeah? The other way that you could look at it is that 2 can also represent partnerships and lovers. And so Tu Toch is a great day to kind of like, to do something for your loved one, as it were. To make sure that that's all in balance, to show your gratitude, your appreciation for maybe your partner or somebody that you're in a relationship with or something like that. A day of appreciation. Okay? From Tu Toch, we then move into 3 Tzi. So Tzi is the Nawal of faith and justice, of law, of unconditional love. Z teaches us about having faith, it teaches us about loyalty. Z means dog, and it's like kind of like we know how our dogs can be very loyal to us, they can be very faithful to us and all that kind of thing. We also know how our dogs once in a while can kind of like smell something off in the coffee plantation and disappear for a couple of hours or something like that. And so there is that part of it which is also about temptation with the Nawal Z. Okay? And here we see it with the number 3. Now the number 3 can be seen as the inner number, as the internal number. It can represent the home, but it can also represent the inner world that each of us has. Okay? So it's about the unconditional love within you. It's about the faith that you have within you, within yourself, for yourself. The unconditional love that you have for yourself. And it can also be about kind of like, showing that, bringing that in the home, overcoming temptations, overcoming vices, in order to, stay faithful to yourself, stay faithful to your path, stay faithful to your journey, your maturing, okay? Because we're in the Trecena Anil, we're all about maturing, we're all about yellowing, ripening, right? And sometimes we recognise that there's stuff that's within us that we're kind of like, I was going to say maybe vices or something like that, temptation that's it preventing us from ripening. So 3T is about giving you a day to look within yourself and see what's tempting you, what's preventing you from ripening. It can also be a very, very good day to be looking at the unconditional love that you have for yourself. And from that, we're then going to go into 4 bats. Okay? So, this is a great day to be going out and doing physical, creative projects. Okay? Because we have bats, creativity, bringing beauty to the world. Connecting your creativity to the divine, to source. That's what I feel that bats is. Bats is like the hand of the divine working through us to create beauty, to make paintings, to make art in our world, to make our world more beautiful, right? And it's here coupled with the number 4, which is the physical plane, which is all about the material world that we're in and all that kind of thing. And so this is a day, go get your paintbrushes, go get your modelling clay, go get your whatever it is that you use to express your creativity and put it out into the physical world. And at least maybe form a foundation for it, because the 4 is going to need some more work. It's very, very physical, it's very down to earth. And that can be really good, but it's kind of like, it's also something that we're then going to build upon. Okay, so it's like a foundation, but it's a great, nice, stable, artistic project to get out there. As I say, to really kind of like physically go and demonstrate the beauty that you can bring to the world on 4 bats. Okay, and from then we're going to go into 5 air. Okay, so air is the road, it's the journey. Is the journey of discovery that we're all on. It's the journey of life. It's the path of life. Days, generally, they're good for a new path or something like that. They're also generally kind of like, I like to travel on days in general, but there's a couple that you maybe wouldn't travel on. 5 could be a little bit tricky, simply because the 5 represents the hand, which represents work, okay? And it's kind of saying about you needing to put some energy into your journey. So you might find that your road might take a little bit more effort than normal on 5 Now, if days are beneficial to travel, you might say, well, I want to travel on an day, but I know it's a 5, so you know what, I'm going to make an allowance because I might need to use a bit more energy. because my kind of feeling about it is that a 5 in the Mayan cross will always lead to a 13. And so you get more back than you put in. So it's worth putting the energy in. It's just you might need to be prepared to understand that you've got to put a bit more energy in. Okay? So it's kind of like, it's not saying don't travel on that day because it's not worth it. It's saying put a little bit more energy in and you might get more out of it than you expected. Okay? So
I just want to clarify the Ek. All I have is the path of life. What else is Ek? The Nawa
journey, the road,
journey,
the
road,
exploration. Yeah, it's all about exploration. Whatever you're exploring. And from that we're going to then go into 6 Ach. So Ach is the staff of life. Ach can be seen as our spinal columns, and Ach is seen as, it's seen as a masculine Noel, it's seen as the father figure within the home, and it represents harmony in our community. And 6 Ach is a particularly special one. And the reason for this is that for me, the 6 is like the 4 where we've got the physical plane, but then we're then bringing in the above and below into that. So it's like it's bringing in what we would say is like the 6 directions, yeah. And so it's drawing on the divine masculine and divine feminine principles and bringing them into the physical plane. Now, one way that can also be seen is by family, right? The father and the mother get together and create something in the physical. That's family. Okay? So 6 has a family connotation. But it's also the number of ultimate stability. And so here we are with this 6 Ach, the day which represents strength and bravery. It represents harmony in the home, harmony in the community. It represents the strength of our kind of like civic leaders, as it were, combined with this number of stability. And so it's a really, really good day to be kind of like bringing stability to your community, using your leadership, using your spinal column to stand up straight. Yeah, we all kind of like change our posture when I mention the spinal column, don't we? Like that we stand up straight and we do and say the right thing in order to bring harmony. Because that's kind of like, you know, sometimes saying and doing the right thing is not the popular thing, right? And yet somebody needs to do it. It's like the emperor's new clothes kind of thing. Well, the 6 gives us kind of like the understanding that this will bring ultimate stability if we choose to engage with that. So, I mean, it's not about going on too much of a tirade, because at the end of the day, it's all about bringing harmony. So we have to understand that Ach, when we see it as like the elders of the village, they have wise judgment, yeah? They know how to bring peace. What they want to see is the village thriving. So it's not about kind of causing segregation, division and that kind of thing, but it's about standing up for what's right and bringing stability through that. From 6 Ach, we then go into 7 Ish. And so Ish, the jaguar. Ish, the Mother Earth. Okay? Ish, the sacred sites. And the 7 being the top of the temple, the top of the pyramid. And go like so. Ish is about engaging with Mother Earth, looking after her, understanding that all of the earth is sacred, not just because it's a pyramid or whatever, you know, it's kind of like just outside your house is sacred as well, yeah? It's about understanding our connection with her, understanding our connection with the spirit of the earth. And the number 7 is all about choices. It's about seeing things. You know, when you're standing on top of, well, when you go to Tikal and you stand on top of Temple 4 and you're looking out, you see Temple 1, Temple 2, Temple 3. And like you're seeing the best choices that you can make. Where are the other sacred holy places? Well, there, and there. Okay? So 7 puts you above the trees to see with clarity what are the best choices to make. So 7-ish could be seen very much about what are the best choices for you to make with regards to your connection to Mother Earth. Now we could also see Ish as representing, like magic as it were, because it's like we go to the ceremony, we talk to Mother Earth, and Mother Earth brings in what we're looking for. And so it's like, what are the best choices for you to bring the magic out of yourself? To connect with that within you, to connect with the sacred within. Okay? And so, of course, if Anil is all about plants and ripening, and Ish is all about Mother Earth, we can understand why 7 Ish might fall in the middle of the Anil Trecena, because it's seeing our connection from Mother Earth from the highest vantage point that there is, and understanding how we can call on Mother Earth to take us to our full ripeness, to bring these seeds that we planted to their greatest abundant ripening. So, from 7 Ish, we then go into 8 Tzichin. Now, 8 Tzichin is a very interesting day here. We might find that there are people kind of like making ceremonies with green candles and green sugar in their shops and that kind of thing, because it's seen as one of the days of prosperity. And we have a different view on prosperity, in that we understand that prosperity has to be sustainable. We also see that Tzichin is about being a visionary. It's about having vision. And a vision has to be sustainable, right? Because we're not having a vision for us for next week. We're having a vision for our grandchildren to create a sustainable future for them where everybody prospers. Our grandchildren and the earth has to thrive simultaneously. And that's what the true visionary will bring. And so the 8 days, we look at the wholeness of the 8. It's the 1 and the 7, the beginning and the end, coming together as wholeness. So it's the whole vision. That's what we ask for on 8 Tzichin. That's what we might ask for through the fire, because 8s are often ceremonial days as well. So we'll make fire ceremony to ask for our vision to become whole. So we've got a really good idea of where we're going and what we're doing, and how to bring, that ripening, whether it's over 13 days, 260 days, 273 days, whether it's over 13 years or whatever it might be. Like this vision to take us forward, we ask for on 8 Tzichin. We then come to 9 Achmach. Okay, so Achmach is a day about being a human. Achmach is a day about, well, you know how as humans we don't always get it right? As humans we try our best, but sometimes it kind of goes a bit wrong. And Achmach makes us hold up our hands and say, yep, my bad. I tried, I'm human, it didn't work out quite the way I wanted it to, and that's that, please forgive me. And so Achmach is all about forgiving. It's about forgiving ourselves, it's about forgiving others, it's about asking for forgiveness. And who are we asking for forgiveness? Well, the number 9 is the number of the feminine. And so maybe it's a good day to be like, if there's a woman that you need to apologise to, then maybe that's a good day for that. Or maybe it's a good day to apologise to the feminine in general. Now the other thing is that the number 9 also represents life. Okay? And so when we see 9 Achmach, it's like the life of a human. And recognising that our life brings us success and failure, let's say. It brings us like these things, and that's just part of life. And we kind of like got to get over the failures and enjoy the successes and like be a human. Because you know how it is right now, especially with social media and stuff like that, everything is so driven towards perfection, right? What about if we're just human? What about if we just embrace having a human life and making mistakes and getting up and dusting ourselves down and having a laugh about it? 9 Achmach may bring that out. It's also 9 Achmach might not be the best day to do anything that's like super mission critical, right? Because everybody's in this like kind of being a human. Everybody's kind of like on an Achmach day. They are days to enjoy being a human, to enjoy life. And sometimes that means that if you've got to do something which is very precise, you get distracted by being a human, right? So just sort of like take it easy on a 9 Achmach day, and don't, kind of, as I say, anything that's too critical might be best left for another day. In fact, it might be best left for the next day, which would be 10 Noch. Okay? Because Noch is about bringing a plan together, using your information, using your knowledge to solve problems, to bring it together. Okay? And here we see it with the number 10, and the number 10 represents this. It's like two hands coming together. And those two hands together, they can be like this. It's shaking of hands in agreement. And the shaking of hands in agreement is about cooperation. It's about the creation of society, right? That's what society runs on, agreements. It can also, I like to see it like this. I like to see it as offering a hand to give somebody a hand up. Or maybe it's your hand that's stretching out and you're asking for a hand up. But either or, it relies on community, it relies on cooperation. It's about working together to overcome problems. And that's 10 Noch. Okay? So it might be a day when maybe you have something that you need to solve, you go out to your community and ask, we could say the hive mind as it were, or whatever, if they can give you input on how you can overcome a situation in your life. Or maybe you've got people around you who are asking for your cooperation in solving a problem and helping a plan to come to fruition. And that is a wonderful thing to do on a 10 Noch day. I mean, it's literally like a brainstorming day within your community. Okay? And so from that, we're then going into 11 Tihash. Now 11 Tihash can be a fairly interesting day, let's say. The reason being that Tihash is the obsidian blade. Tihash is very sharp. It's very good for sculpting, it's very good for editing, it's very good for defeating your enemies on the battlefield. It has a whole bunch of things going on like that. It's it's the warrior and the healer all together. Okay, it is removing what is out of balance from society in order to bring it to perfection. We could see it like the sculptor or the editor. When you see an editor working on a book or an editor working on video or music or whatever it is, they're cutting out the superfluous in order to bring out the highest aspect of it. Yeah, so that's what Tihash does. But when we have it connected with the 11 is a very high number, and it's a little bit unpredictable about which direction it's going to take. Now, it can be extremely creative. The 11 is all about creativity, because we don't create something novel by following the same path. And the 11's path can be something which will be very different. We don't know quite where it's going next. But when that path is, or when that kind of like action is combined with an obsidian blade, then this could be something which might be a little bit challenging, right? Because you've got something which is very sharp and an unpredictable path. Okay? So sometimes you might bite off more than you can chew on an 11 Tihash day. Sometimes, you might cut a little bit more deeply than you originally intended to on an 11 Tihash day. You kind of like going on, sometimes you're whether, how can I put it, you're doing some woodwork or something and you mean to just take just a millimetre off or something like that, and you accidentally overhit the chisel and you've gone 5 millimetres in or something like that. That's kind of what I mean by it, yeah? There's a lot of power to it. So I think the real lesson of the 11 Tihash day is it's a great day to come to perfection and to do those kind of things, but be very gentle with the way that you do it, because the 11 might bring a lot more power than you were originally expecting to whatever it is that you're cutting. From 11 Tihash, we then go into 12 Kawok. Kawok being the rainstorm. I don't know whether it's going to rain this afternoon. Kind of looks like it, right? The rain brings new life. This is one of the things that we need for our anil. We need for that maize, that plant, that seed that we're putting in the ground. We need for it to rain, right? because that water is what's going to grow it, what's going to help it to mature, what's going to germinate it in the first place. And so Kawok is very much about bringing new life into the world. We can see it as the Nawal of the midwife, of the female healer. And so it's opening the way, kind of almost like catalyzing the action that is going to happen. It can be, excuse me, you know how, well, if you're here all through dry season, you'll see that dust and leaves and all sorts of things build up on the roads and in the gutters and all around the place, right? And then the first rain comes through. When the first rain comes through, everything gets like sparkly clean. Everything smells good, like, you know, because the rain washes everything away and it cleans everything. And sometimes we've got a bunch of debris in our path. Sometimes we can't walk forward so well. Sometimes there's something blocking our rebirth process. There's Kawok that comes along and washes it out of the way. Kawok that performs that healing act by doing that. And so Kawok we could see as the day of feminine healing because it is connected to the midwife in that way as well. And here we have it with a very, very strong number, the number 12. And the number 12 could be seen as the bundle of life's experiences. Okay? It's bringing together all of life's experiences into one place. Okay? So 12 Kawok could be a great day to use your life experience to wash away the obstacles in the path to your ripening or your growth. Okay? And if it's not you, maybe you're calling on a female healer to help you with that. Effectively like whether it's a true midwife and you're going to give birth, or whether it's a kind of like spiritual midwife, as it were, somebody who can help you to overcome the blockages by using her life experience. Okay? And
It's
so
like a coaching session.
that kind of thing could be a very, very good thing to do, yeah. Absolutely. And then finally we come to the big day. And for me, like I say, the way that I kind of like look at the calendar or read the calendar, I think this is a very, very important day. The day of 13 Akpu. Now, one of the reasons why I think it's an important day is firstly because we have 13 representing spirit and ancestors, and Akpu, which can represent ancestors, it can represent the sun. It can represent, like 13 Akpu kind of like feels a little bit like the return to the source day. One of the things which is also very interesting is that if you create composite nawales, like you take your energy and you add it to another energy, you get a composite, right? You can do that to work out relationship energies. Well, if you add 13 Akpu to anything, you get what you started with. You get your own energy. It is the one day on which we all see ourselves exactly as we are and exactly as we should be. So 13 Akpu is a very, very powerful day in that way, and maybe, like, you know, hopefully we're all seeing, you know, something that we like, and maybe we're also seeing bits that we don't like as well. And so this is a day when everything is like the day of revelation in some way, right? Everything is revealed about ourselves and others. It's also an absolutely amazing day to kind of like connect to spirit, as it were. And an amazing day to get messages about kind of like a connection to source, connection to the sun. Akpu, I also see like Hunakpu, the hero, one of the hero twins called Hunakpu. And it's about embracing the God self, as it were, the hero within each and every one of us. And a 13 is like spirit guiding us, so it's like spirit guiding us towards how we can work with the hero within. Okay, so this is why it's such a special day, and I mean, 13 Akpu, I really like, whilst I do see 13 Akpu as being a very, very useful day for ceremony. It's a great day for divination, receiving divinations and that kind of thing. Of kind of like how are you going to connect? What's Spirit got to tell you about how you can connect with that hero within? And so that's what I would recommend. And of course, there can be nothing about or nothing more important to bring us to our ripeness than really connecting with that inner essence, that inner hero, that inner sun within ourselves. Okay? So, that's the Trecena of Gamil. As you can see, I think it's quite an exciting Trecena. And it will take us to this changeover point. We come to this full ripeness, we reconnect with Source, and then the next Trecena that I'll talk about in 13 days' time will be the Trecena of Emosh, which is like the new dream, the new beginning. Okay? So thank you.
Thank you.
And